Anabelle Kim. I'm in 6th grade at Robert C. Fisler School. I've been baking since I was 5 and I still love to bake. I even asked my parents for a blowtorch. Of course, they said no. But I have a quote on my computer. I have a sticky note on my computer quoting Julia Child. It says, "I think every woman should have a blowtorch." But why did I tell you this? I shared this part of my life with you to show you how much I enjoy baking. I want people to be educated about baking and how it can help you. So today, I will be talking about baking and specifically what it is and what it can include. First of all, what is baking? I conducted a survey of my peers to see what people thought. 40% of people thought that baking isn't just one thing. About 30% thought it was an art, roughly 9% thought it was a physical activity, 4% thought it was a science, and around 17% made a custom answer. Those who said baking isn't just one thing says that baking can encompass a variety of subjects. Those who made a custom answer explained how baking would make you feel. So what is baking in general? I believe that you can't categorize baking into one specific subject. I believe it uses all subjects in a unique way. In my survey, I also included a part that asked what can baking include. The options were art, science, a physical activity, math, history, memorization, reading, and craft/creativity. Most people thought baking can include art and craft/creativity. Less thought memorization, and then science, reading, math, physical activity, and lastly, history. What can baking include? Just like the first question, I believe that baking can include all of these subjects. How is baking an art? Around 92% of people thought baking can be an art. When you add your own style to the dish, it is an art. Plating and decorating can also make the dessert an art. And even if you don't do these things, it is still an art. This is because, according to ecb.edu, bakers, like painters and sculptors and performing artists, can inspire and soothe people by their products. What makes baking a science? The Andini says the function of each ingredient makes baking a science. How could cornstarch or flour thicken a custard? Isn't that science? Proofing bread by adding yeast or the caramelization of sugar is also science. And if you add more or less of any ingredient, the food would be changed completely. You know why? Science. Only around 70% thought that baking can be science, and now you know that it is. About 66% of people thought baking can be physical. When you mix the batter, knead dough, or run around the kitchen, it is physical. ChooseMyPlate.gov says that a physical activity is something that requires energy. Everything I just said requires energy, doesn't it? Baking can also use and extend other knowledge that it was not expected, like reading. Baking terms, methods, and complex ingredients that you didn't know are all vocabulary. TheSpritzeats.com even has a glossary of baking terms. Bakers also use memorization because they need to know what they need to do and how much of what to use. MyRecipe.com gives 11 cooking tips that people should memorize. Around 70% of people thought baking can include reading and memorization. Baking includes math because you have to measure ingredients using either the customary or metric system, or you have to convert from customary to metric, or vice versa. Sydney Alvarez says that ingredients have relationships with each other through ratios, and ratios are a part of math. About 70% of people thought baking can include math. Only around 33% of people thought baking included history. And if you don't believe this, let me ask you a few questions. How was baking created? Who made the first croissant or first cronut? All of the answers to these questions are part of history. Finally, how is baking craft/creativity? Almost 100% of the people that took the survey think that baking can include craft/creativity. The answers are similar to art. You can express yourself and make the dish your own. You can use your creative skills to make your dessert unique and intriguing and different for people. Making the dessert different and intriguing for people is a way of expressing creativity and craft. So now that you know what baking can include, what is the purpose of baking? Obviously, getting to eat the dessert is a major purpose, but you also get to learn about baking and you can use and extend other knowledge. You can relieve stress by kneading doughs and the smells and visuals it provides. It also gives sensory pleasures, and it can relieve stress by being able to exercise creative freedom. Debbie Mandel says cooking is a great de-stressor because it serves as a creative outlet. Baking can bring you joy and happiness. So I encourage you all to continue baking for amazing outcomes. And if you're hesitant about baking, think of all the ways it can help you. And if you don't think you can, know you can. Because if you can't, how was I able to make all of these desserts? Then again, these cookies didn't turn out that well. But don't let baking fails discourage you. Baking, like any other skill, requires practice and determination. And the best part is, baking can bring happiness to others by the treats you make for them. And when others are happy, that can bring happiness to you too. Thank you.